Have you ever had one small moment in life that completely changed everything? Sometimes it isn't a grand event. Sometimes it's just a simple knock on a door. For Ethan Parker, that moment started on a quiet Thursday afternoon. Ethan was a handyman in a small suburban town just outside Chicago. He wasn't famous, he wasn't rich, but he was known for something that mattered more to him: he was reliable. If something was broken, Ethan could fix it. Doors, sinks, fences, cabinets. People called him because they trusted him. That afternoon, he pulled his white pickup truck into a peaceful neighborhood lined with tall maple trees and neat little houses. He glanced at the address on his phone. 214, Willow Lane. According to the message, the homeowner had a front door that wouldn't close properly. Simple job, Ethan muttered to himself as he grabbed his toolbox from the truck bed. But he had no idea that this simple repair would lead to something much bigger. As Ethan walked up the short stone path toward the house, he noticed something comforting about the place. There were small pink flowers planted along the walkway, and colorful chalk drawings covered part of the driveway. A child lived here. Ethan smiled slightly. He had always liked homes that felt lived in. He knocked gently on the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the door slowly creaked open halfway. Standing there was a woman in her early 30s with soft brown hair tied loosely in a ponytail. She looked a little tired, but there was warmth in her eyes. "Hi," she said politely. "You must be Ethan." "That's me," he replied with a friendly smile. "You called about the door." She nodded and pushed the door slightly. Except the door didn't move much. It stuck awkwardly against the frame. "Yeah, it's been like this for 2 days," she said with a small embarrassed laugh. "I have to push it really hard to close it." Ethan stepped closer and examined the hinges. "I can fix that." Just as he knelt down to look more closely, he felt someone watching him. He glanced up. Peeking from behind the woman's leg was a little girl, maybe 6 years old, with big curious eyes. Ethan gave her a gentle smile. "Hey there." The girl didn't answer right away. She simply stared at him. The woman laughed softly. "This is my daughter, Emma." Emma slowly stepped forward. "Are you going to fix our door?" she asked. Ethan nodded confidently. "That's the plan." Emma looked impressed. "My mom says it's really broken." "Well," Ethan said while opening his toolbox, "I guess we'll just have to prove her wrong." Emma giggled. The woman shook her head slightly, amused by the conversation. "Sorry," she said. "Kids ask a lot of questions." "No problem," Ethan replied. "I've got 3 nephews. I'm used to it." He carefully removed one of the hinges and inspected it. Sure enough, the screws were loose and the frame had shifted slightly over time. Nothing serious. But it would take a little adjusting. As Ethan worked, the woman stepped inside the house and called back toward the kitchen. "Would you like some coffee while you work?" Ethan looked up. "Sure, that'd be great." A few minutes later, the smell of fresh coffee drifted through the doorway. The house felt warm. Not just physically, but emotionally. There were drawings taped to the refrigerator, toys stacked neatly in a basket near the couch, and soft music playing somewhere in the background. It was the kind of home that told a quiet story about the people who lived there. Ethan finished tightening the screws and adjusted the hinge slightly. Then he stood up. "All right," he said, brushing dust from his hands. "Let's test it." The woman stepped forward and gently pushed the door. This time, it closed perfectly. Smooth. Silent. Her face lit up immediately. "Oh wow." She opened it again and closed it a second time just to be sure. "That's amazing," she said. "You fixed it so quickly." Emma clapped her hands. "Mom, the door works." Ethan laughed. "Well, it was just a loose hinge." The woman walked over and handed him a warm mug of coffee. "Still, thank you. That was driving me crazy." He took a sip. "Glad I could help." For a moment, they simply stood there talking casually. The kind of conversation that feels surprisingly comfortable with someone you just met. Ethan learned that her name was Lily Carter. She had moved into the house 2 years ago. And Emma was her whole world. While Emma ran off to grab a toy from the living room, Lily leaned against the wall near the doorway. There was a brief pause between them. Not awkward. Just thoughtful. Then Lily crossed her arms slightly and looked at Ethan with a curious expression. "Can I ask you something?" Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Sure." She hesitated for a second, as if deciding whether she should really say it. Then she asked the question. "Would you ever date a single mom?" The words hung in the air. Ethan blinked in surprise. That was not the kind of question he expected during a repair job. He chuckled softly. "Well, that's a new one." Lily immediately looked embarrassed. "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. That sounded weird. I just meant." Ethan shook his head gently. "No, it's okay." He thought about it for a moment. Then he answered honestly. "I guess it depends on the mom." Lily laughed, clearly relieved. "That's a fair answer." Just then Emma ran back into the room holding a colorful drawing. "Look what I made." She held up a picture of what appeared to be a house, a stick figure mom, and a very large pink dog. Ethan crouched down to examine it. "That's really good," he said. Emma pointed proudly. "That's me and my mom." Ethan smiled. "It's perfect." Lily watched the moment quietly. Something about the way Ethan spoke to Emma caught her attention. Many men acted uncomfortable around kids. But Ethan seemed completely natural. And that made her curious. After a few more minutes, Ethan picked up his toolbox. "Well, I should probably get going." But before he could step outside, Emma spoke again. "Mom, can he stay for dinner?" Lily's eyes widened in surprise. "Emma." But Ethan laughed. Kids had a way of saying exactly what adults were too polite to say. Lily looked slightly flustered. "Sorry about that." Ethan shrugged with a smile. "No worries." Then he glanced at the clock on the wall. His next job wasn't for another hour. He looked back at Lily. "Well." He paused. "I might have a little time." Emma's face lit up instantly. And Lily couldn't help smiling. None of them realized it yet. But this small moment, this simple afternoon with a broken door, was the beginning of a story that would change all three of their lives. And sometimes, the most important doors we fix in life are the ones we never expected to open. If you're enjoying this story so far, take a moment to like the video, and comment below where you're watching from. And if you love emotional stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for new stories every day. Because this was only the beginning. And what happened next would surprise all of them. Sometimes life surprises you in the simplest ways. One moment you're fixing a broken door, and the next moment, you're sitting at someone's kitchen table wondering how a stranger suddenly feels so familiar. Ethan hadn't planned to stay that evening. But somehow, Emma's innocent question, "Can he stay for dinner?" had changed the direction of the night. And maybe, something else too. Emma had practically bounced with excitement as Lily hesitated near the kitchen counter. "Emma," Lily said gently, trying to keep a calm voice, "Mr. Ethan is probably busy." Ethan chuckled softly. "Actually, it's just Ethan." Emma grinned. "Okay, Ethan." She looked at him with hopeful eyes. "So, will you stay?" Ethan glanced toward Lily. She looked slightly embarrassed but also amused. "If you're busy, it's completely okay," she said politely. Ethan checked the time on his phone. His next job wasn't until later in the evening. And honestly, he wasn't in a hurry to leave. The house felt warm in a way he hadn't expected. So he smiled. "I think I can stay for a little while." Emma cheered like she had just won a prize. "Yes." Lily laughed softly, shaking her head. "Well, I guess that settles it." She moved toward the stove. "Nothing fancy though," she warned. "Just pasta." Ethan leaned back in the chair at the small kitchen table. "Pasta sounds perfect." While Lily cooked, Emma sat across from Ethan swinging her legs under the chair. "So, what else can you fix?" she asked curiously. Ethan pretended to think very seriously. "Well, doors, sinks, windows, sometimes even broken toys." Emma's eyes widened. "You can fix toys?" "Sometimes," Ethan said with a wink. Emma jumped out of her chair and ran toward the living room. "I'll be right back." Lily laughed from the kitchen. "Careful what you promise." She has a whole box of broken dolls. Ethan smiled. I might regret that. A few minutes later, Emma returned carrying a small toy with a missing wheel. Ethan examined it carefully like a professional engineer. This is a serious situation. Emma watched nervously. But after a moment, Ethan snapped the wheel back into place. There. Emma gasped. It's fixed. She hugged the toy like it was a miracle. Then she ran to show her mom. Mom. Ethan fixed it. Lily looked over her shoulder while stirring the pasta sauce. See? I told you he was talented. Ethan felt something warm in his chest. It had been a long time since a simple moment like that made him feel appreciated. Soon the kitchen filled with the comforting smell of garlic, tomatoes, and fresh pasta. The three of them sat down at the table together. The setting was simple. Just 3 plates. 3 glasses of water. And the soft yellow light above the kitchen table. But somehow, the moment felt special. Emma talked non-stop. About school. About her best friend Lily. About how she wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up. Ethan listened carefully, asking questions like it was the most important conversation in the world. And Emma loved it. At one point she asked, "Do you have kids?" Ethan shook his head. "Nope." Emma tilted her head. "Why not?" Lily nearly choked on her drink. "Emma." Ethan laughed. "Well, I guess I just haven't met the right person yet." Emma thought about that very seriously. Then she nodded. "That makes sense." After dinner, Emma ran to the living room to watch cartoons. The kitchen suddenly became quiet. Lily began collecting the plates. "You don't have to do that," Ethan said, standing up. "I can help." She smiled slightly. Most guests say that and then disappear. Ethan grabbed the plates. "Well, I'm not most guests." For a few minutes they washed dishes together. The quiet was comfortable. Not awkward. Just peaceful. Finally Lily leaned against the counter, drying her hands. "You're really good with Emma," she said softly. Ethan shrugged. "I like kids." There was a small pause. Then he added gently, "She's a great kid." Lily looked down for a moment. "She is." Her voice carried a hint of emotion. Being a single mom isn't always easy. Ethan leaned against the counter across from her. "I can imagine." She sighed lightly. Most men hear single mom and immediately lose interest. Ethan remembered the question she asked earlier. Would you ever date a single mom? Now he understood why she asked it. "I'm sorry people make you feel that way," he said. Lily gave a small sad smile. "It's just reality." Ethan thought about Emma's laughter earlier. About the warm kitchen. About how natural everything had felt. Then he said quietly, "Well, I'm still here." Lily looked up at him. Their eyes met. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Something gentle but undeniable was forming between them. Just then Emma's voice echoed from the living room. "Mom, the cartoon is funny." Lily laughed softly. "Coming." She walked toward the living room but paused halfway. Turning back toward Ethan, she said something unexpected. "You know, Emma doesn't usually warm up to people that quickly." Ethan smiled. "I'll take that as a compliment." "It is." They watched Emma laughing at the television. For the first time in a long time, Lily felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. Hope. A few minutes later Ethan picked up his toolbox again. "I should probably head out." Emma immediately ran to the door. "Are you coming back?" Ethan looked at Lily for a moment. Then he smiled at Emma. "I think I'd like to." Emma nodded happily. "Good." Lily walked him to the front door. The evening air outside was cool and quiet. Streetlights had begun glowing softly along the road. Ethan turned to face her. "Thanks for dinner." Lily smiled. "Thanks for fixing the door, and the toy." He laughed. That was the easy part. There was a small pause between them. Then Ethan said carefully, "Maybe, next time I come by, it won't be for repairs." Lily raised an eyebrow. "Oh, maybe it could be for dinner again." Her smile grew a little warmer. "I'd like that." Ethan stepped down from the porch. As he walked toward his truck, he glanced back. Lily and Emma were standing in the doorway watching him. For some reason, it already felt like home. And something told him this was only the beginning. Before we continue to the next chapter, take a moment to like this video if you're enjoying the story so far. Also comment below and tell me which country you're watching from. I love seeing viewers from around the world. And if you enjoy emotional love stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because we post new stories every single day. Trust me. The next chapter of Ethan and Lily's story is where things start getting truly romantic. Sometimes the most difficult step in a new relationship is the simplest one: asking. For Ethan Parker, that simple step took almost a week. Ever since that dinner at Lily's house, he couldn't stop thinking about her, or about Emma laughing at the kitchen table. The moment had stayed in his mind longer than he expected. It wasn't just a friendly evening. It felt like something meaningful had quietly begun. During the following days, Ethan tried to focus on work. Fixing fences, repairing cabinets, installing new locks, his schedule was full. But every now and then, he caught himself wondering what Lily might be doing at that moment. Was Emma telling her funny stories again? Was Lily drinking coffee in that warm kitchen? Finally, one afternoon, Ethan decided to stop wondering and start doing something about it. He drove his truck back to Willow Lane. When he pulled up in front of Lily's house, the familiar chalk drawings were still on the driveway. A small pink bicycle was lying near the porch. Ethan smiled to himself. Somehow, the place already felt familiar. He walked up the path and knocked on the door. A few seconds later, the door opened. Lily stood there wearing a comfortable sweater and jeans, her hair loosely tied back just like the first day they met. Her expression quickly changed from surprise to a warm smile. "Ethan." "Hey," he said casually. She leaned slightly against the door frame. "Is something broken again?" Ethan laughed. "Nope. Door still works perfectly." "Good," she said with a playful smile. "You had me worried for a second." Just then a small voice appeared behind her. "Ethan." Emma ran to the door. "You came back." Ethan knelt down slightly to her level. "I told you I might." Emma crossed her arms like she was evaluating him. "Did you bring tools?" "No tools today." Emma looked confused. "Then why are you here?" Lily raised an eyebrow, clearly curious about the same question. Ethan stood up again and looked at Lily. "Well, actually I was wondering something." She tilted her head slightly. "What?" He took a small breath. "Would you like to go out sometime?" For a moment, Lily looked genuinely surprised. Not uncomfortable. Just caught off guard. Before she could answer, Emma gasped dramatically. "Mom, say yes." Lily burst into laughter. "Emma." Emma grinned proudly. "What? You like him?" Ethan tried to hide his smile. Lily covered her face for a second, embarrassed. "I'm sorry." She has absolutely no filter. Ethan shrugged. "I respect the honesty." Lily looked back at him, her expression softening. "You're serious?" "Very." She thought about it for a moment. Then she nodded. "Okay." Emma cheered loudly. "Yes." Lily laughed again. All right, calm down." She turned back to Ethan. "But there's one small condition." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "You have to promise Emma that you'll fix her toy car again if it breaks." Ethan placed his hand over his heart dramatically. "Deal." Emma clapped happily. 2 nights later, Ethan arrived at Lily's house again. But this time felt very different. He wasn't carrying a toolbox. Instead, he was holding a small bouquet of simple white flowers. When Lily opened the door, she looked slightly nervous, but beautiful. She wore a simple blue dress and had let her hair fall softly around her shoulders. For a moment Ethan forgot what he was about to say. "You look amazing," he finally managed. Lily blushed slightly. "Thank you." Emma ran up beside them. "Mom spent like 20 minutes choosing shoes." Lily groaned. "Emma." Ethan laughed. "Well, the shoes were worth it." Lily's neighbor had agreed to watch Emma for the evening. Before leaving, Emma grabbed Ethan's arm. "You have to bring her back happy." Ethan nodded seriously. "That's the plan." Lily shook her head. Why do I feel like my daughter just approved this date? She definitely did, Ethan replied. They drove to a small restaurant by the river, one of Ethan's favorite quiet places in town. The sun was beginning to set, casting golden light across the water. Inside the restaurant, soft lights reflected gently on the river outside the windows. It was peaceful. Romantic. The kind of place where conversations felt deeper. At first, they talked about simple things. Work. Music. Favorite movies. But slowly the conversation became more personal. Lily told Ethan about moving to the town after a difficult breakup years earlier. About how scary it was to raise Emma alone. About the nights she worried whether she was doing enough as a mother. Ethan listened carefully. He didn't interrupt. He didn't judge. He simply understood. You're doing an amazing job, he said sincerely. Lily looked down at the table for a moment. Some days it doesn't feel like it. Well, Ethan said gently, from what I've seen, Emma thinks you're pretty great. Lily smiled softly. She's my whole world. Ethan nodded. I can see that. Then Lily looked at him seriously. You know, dating me isn't exactly simple. What do you mean? It means Emma comes first. Always. Ethan didn't hesitate. I wouldn't expect anything else. She studied his face carefully. Some men say that in the beginning, but later they change their minds. Ethan leaned forward slightly. I'm not those men. Something about the way he said it made Lily believe him. For the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to relax. They finished dinner slowly, enjoying the calm evening. Afterward, they decided to walk along the river. The sky had turned deep blue, and city lights reflected across the water like small stars. They walked side by side in comfortable silence for a while. Then Ethan said something unexpected. You know, I almost didn't come back. Lily looked surprised. Why? I wasn't sure if you'd want me to. She stopped walking and looked at him. Ethan. I was hoping you would. The words hung softly in the night air. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then they both laughed quietly at the same time. It was the kind of laugh people share when they realize something important. When they returned to the car, the night felt different. Closer. More personal. Ethan opened the car door for her. Thank you for tonight, Lily said. Thank you for saying yes. She smiled. You know something? What? That broken door might have been the best accident I've ever had. Ethan laughed. I'm starting to think the same thing. As they drove back toward her house, neither of them said it out loud. But both of them could feel it. Something real was beginning to grow between them. And sometimes, the most beautiful relationships start with the simplest question. Would you ever date a single mom? If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like this video. Also comment below and tell us which country you're watching from. It's always amazing to see viewers from around the world. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for daily emotional love stories just like this one. Because in the next chapter, Ethan plans a surprise that will change everything. Sometimes a relationship doesn't grow because of grand gestures. Sometimes it grows through small moments, quiet conversations, and the feeling that someone truly understands your life. After Ethan and Lily's first date by the river, something between them began to change. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't forced. It simply grew naturally, day by day. Over the next couple of weeks, Ethan visited Lily and Emma several times. Sometimes he helped with small repairs around the house. Other times he simply came by for dinner. But the truth was, he wasn't coming for the repairs anymore. He was coming for them. Emma had started to greet him at the door every time he arrived. Ethan's here, she would shout happily as she ran through the house. And every time Lily heard those words, she couldn't help smiling. One Saturday afternoon, Ethan had an idea. He wanted to do something special. Something that included Emma, and showed Lily that he understood what her life was really about. So he spent the morning preparing. He bought fresh sandwiches, fruit, cookies, and lemonade. Then he packed everything carefully into a picnic basket and drove to the park where Lily often took Emma on weekends. The park was beautiful that day. Green grass stretched across the open field, Children played near the swings, and the sun painted the sky with soft golden light. Ethan spread a large picnic blanket under a tall oak tree and placed the basket in the middle. Then he sent Lily a simple message. "Meet me at the park. I have a surprise." About 20 minutes later, Lily arrived holding Emma's hand. Emma spotted the picnic blanket immediately. "Mom, look." She ran across the grass toward Ethan. "You made a picnic." Ethan stood up with a smile. "Surprise." Lily walked closer, clearly impressed. "You planned all of this?" Ethan shrugged casually. "I thought it would be fun." Emma had already opened the basket. "Cookies." Lily laughed. "Well, you've definitely won Emma over." They sat down together on the blanket. Emma happily munched on cookies while Ethan poured lemonade into plastic cups. The afternoon felt peaceful. Children laughed nearby, a soft breeze moved through the trees, and sunlight filtered gently through the leaves above them. It was the kind of moment that felt simple, yet unforgettable. Emma suddenly jumped up. "I'm going to play on the swings." "Stay where we can see you," Lily called. Emma ran off happily. For the first time that afternoon, Ethan and Lily were alone. They watched Emma playing for a moment. Then Lily looked at Ethan. "You didn't have to do this." Ethan shrugged slightly. "I wanted to." She studied him for a second. "You're really good with her. I like spending time with her." Lily's expression softened. "You know, not many people understand what it means to date someone with a child." Ethan nodded. "I'm starting to learn." She looked down at the grass, gently pulling a small blade between her fingers. "When Emma's father left, I promised myself something." "What was that?" Ethan asked. "That I would never bring someone into her life unless I knew they truly cared." Ethan didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked toward the playground where Emma was laughing on the swings. Then he said quietly, "I respect that." Lily glanced up. "Most men don't." Ethan turned back toward her. "I'm not most men." The sincerity in his voice made her pause. There was something different about him. Something steady. Something honest. Just then Emma came running back toward them. "Mom, look what I found." She held out a tiny white flower. Lily smiled. "That's beautiful." Emma handed the flower to Ethan. "This is for you." Ethan looked surprised. "For me?" Emma nodded. "You're part of the picnic." He carefully tucked the flower behind his ear in a silly way. Emma burst out laughing. Lily laughed too. The moment felt light and joyful. But as the afternoon slowly turned into evening, something deeper began to form. The sky changed colors, orange, pink, and purple blending together above the park. Emma eventually wandered back toward the playground to play with other kids. Once again, Ethan and Lily were alone. This time, the conversation felt more serious. Ethan leaned back slightly on his hands. "Lily, can I tell you something?" "Of course." He took a breath. "When you asked me that question the first day, about dating a single mom, I didn't really know what to say." She smiled slightly. "I remember. But now I do." Lily looked at him curiously. "What do you mean?" Ethan sat up and faced her. "I mean that being with you and Emma doesn't scare me." She blinked softly, surprised. "In fact," he continued, "it feels right." The words settled gently between them. Lily felt her heart beating faster. "You're sure about that?" she asked quietly. Ethan nodded. "I'm not just interested in dating you." She watched him carefully. "I want to build something real." For a moment, Lily couldn't speak. Those words meant more than he probably realized. Because for years she had been protecting her heart. Protecting Emma. And now, someone was standing in front of her saying he wanted to be part of that life. Emma suddenly ran back toward them again. "Mom, the sky looks like cotton candy." They all looked up. She was right. The sunset had turned bright pink and orange across the horizon. Ethan smiled. "Looks like we picked the perfect evening for a picnic." Emma sat between them again. "Can we do this again sometime?" Ethan looked at Lily. "Only if your mom says yes." Emma looked at her mother expectantly. Lily laughed softly. "I think that can be arranged." As the sun disappeared behind the trees, Ethan helped pack up the picnic basket. They walked slowly toward the parking lot together. Emma held Lily's hand on one side and Ethan's hand on the other. For a moment, it looked almost like a small family walking home together. And Lily noticed something. For the first time in years, that thought didn't scare her. It felt comforting. Before we continue to the final chapter of this story, take a moment to like this video if you're enjoying Ethan and Lily's journey. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it grows slowly, quietly, until one night you suddenly realize that your life has completely changed. After the picnic in the park, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Lily and Emma. Walking back to his truck that evening, he remembered the moment when Emma had held both of their hands while they walked toward the parking lot. For a brief second, it had felt like they were already a family. And that thought stayed in Ethan's mind all week. He knew something important now. He didn't just like Lily. He cared about her deeply. And he cared about Emma too. So he decided to plan something special. Not just another dinner. Not just another visit. He wanted one evening that Lily would remember forever. 3 days later, Ethan called her. Lily answered while cooking dinner. "Hey, Ethan." "Hey," he replied warmly. "Are you free Friday night?" She smiled slightly. "That depends. Is this another repair job?" Ethan laughed. "No tools this time. Just dinner." Lily glanced toward Emma, who was coloring pictures at the kitchen table. "Emma might approve of that." "Well," Ethan said playfully, "maybe she'll allow you to borrow me for one evening." Lily laughed. "I think that can be arranged." Emma's aunt agreed to watch her that night. And when Friday evening finally arrived, Ethan pulled up to Lily's house feeling more nervous than he had expected. He wasn't nervous fixing a door or repairing a roof. But tonight felt different. Tonight mattered. He knocked on the door. A moment later, Lily opened it. For a second Ethan forgot how to speak. She wore a soft red dress that moved gently in the evening breeze, and her hair fell naturally around her shoulders. "You look incredible," he said honestly. Lily blushed slightly. "Thank you." Just then Emma appeared behind her. "Mom spent forever getting ready." Lily sighed dramatically. "Emma." Ethan laughed. "Well, it was worth the wait." Emma folded her arms and looked at Ethan very seriously. "You have to bring her back smiling." Ethan nodded like it was an official mission. "I promise." Emma seemed satisfied. "Okay." As they walked toward Ethan's truck, Lily smiled quietly. "My daughter clearly trusts you." "I'm honored." They drove toward the Riverside restaurant again. But this time Ethan had something different planned. After dinner, he parked near a quiet section of the river where soft lights reflected on the water. The night air was cool and peaceful. Crickets chirped quietly in the distance. And the sky above them was full of stars. Lily looked around curiously. "This place is beautiful. I thought you might like it." They began walking slowly along the river path. The lights from nearby buildings shimmered across the water like small glowing diamonds. For a few minutes they simply walked together in comfortable silence. Then Lily said something softly. "You know, I haven't felt this relaxed in a long time." Ethan smiled. "That's good." She looked at him thoughtfully. "Dating again used to feel scary." "Why?" "Because I wasn't just risking my heart," she said quietly. "I was risking Emma's too." Ethan understood. That responsibility meant everything to her. And he respected that. He stopped walking and turned to face her. "Lily, can I tell you something honestly?" "Of course." "When I first came to fix your door," he said, "I thought it was just another job." She smiled. "And now?" "Now I'm really glad that door was broken." Lily laughed softly. "I think I am too." They continued walking until they reached a small wooden bench near the water. They sat down together. The reflection of the moon shimmered gently across the river. For a moment, the world felt very quiet. Very peaceful. Ethan took a deep breath. "Lily, there's something important I want to say." She turned toward him. "What is it?" He looked directly into her eyes. "When you asked me that question the first day, about dating a single mom, I didn't realize how much that moment would change my life. Lily listened quietly. But now I know something for sure, he continued. What's that? Ethan smiled gently. I don't just want to date you. Her heart skipped slightly. What do you mean? I mean I want to be part of your life. He paused. And Emma's life too. Lily felt emotion rise in her chest. Those words meant everything to her. Because for years she had believed that no one would ever truly accept both of them. But here was Ethan, sitting beside her under the stars, telling her that he wanted exactly that. Are you sure? She whispered. Ethan nodded without hesitation. Absolutely. Tears shimmered slightly in Lily's eyes. But they were happy tears. For the first time in years. She felt safe opening her heart again. She leaned closer and wrapped her arms around him. Ethan held her gently. The moment felt warm, comforting, real. After a while, they pulled back slightly and both laughed softly. What? Ethan asked. Lily smiled. It's funny. What is? A broken door started all of this. Ethan chuckled. Best repair job I've ever done. They sat together for a while longer, talking, laughing, and enjoying the peaceful night. Eventually Ethan stood up and offered his hand. Come on. Where? I want to show you something. They walked a little farther down the river path. And then Lily saw it. Small string lights hanging from the trees, glowing softly in the dark. Ethan had set up a small surprise area earlier that evening. A blanket, a lantern, and a small speaker playing soft music. Lily covered her mouth in surprise. You did all this? Ethan smiled. I wanted tonight to be special. They sat together under the glowing lights while music played quietly. For a while they simply talked and laughed. Then Ethan stood up and held out his hand. Dance with me. There's no dance floor. Who needs one? Lily laughed and took his hand. They slowly danced under the lights with the river flowing quietly nearby. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't perfect. But it was beautiful. And in that moment, Lily knew something deep in her heart. This wasn't just a date. This was the beginning of a new chapter of her life. A chapter filled with love. With laughter. With hope. All because one afternoon, a handyman had come to fix a broken door, and accidentally opened a brand new future. If you enjoyed this romantic story, don't forget to like the video. Also comment below and tell us which country you're watching from. It's always amazing to see viewers from all around the world. And make sure to subscribe to the channel for daily love stories just like this one. Because the next story might be even more unforgettable.